Sorry to interrupt the honourable member. I call Dr Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This bill seeks to do three things. It seeks to amend the Articles of Agreement of the IMF, to do two substantive things: improve the representation of fast-growing emerging market countries at the IMF, that is to say with a view, presumably, to making it more democratic, and secondly, doubling the quota, which are the IMF's main means of raising funds. And in addition, within the New Zealand's parliamentary procedural terms, the bill also seeks to provide for regulation-making power so that future updates can be made by regulation. It's been an interesting debate today, and I think we have actually heard some insights from experienced and seasoned colleagues from all sides of the House. Although I do suggest that Labour, in the form of David Cunliffe, and no doubt all his colleagues, cease and desist from ensuring or insisting that the debate is cast in, quote, bipartisan terms. It is over 15 years since we have had an MMP system. It is not a bipartisan issue: foreign policy, defence, trade, international finance. It is a multiplicity of ideas from a multiplicity of countries, parties, and it's about time that National and Labour recognised that and actually paid respect to it. So, following the debate, it seems to me that there has emerged a theme that essentially divides the House on this bill. The Green Party, as my colleague Russell Norman has indicated, will oppose the bill, and therefore there are two views to be brought to bear on this. But if you follow the path of reasoning, so to speak, between National, Labour, New Zealand First on the one side and the Green Party on the other side, it is interesting to see what we have in common and where we actually diverge. And it seems to me there are three propositions, you might say, and I think we're agreed on the first two, and the difference is that the Green Party diverges on the third. So let's look at that. I think we're all agreed on the first proposition, which is that the IMF, along with other major global institutions, obviously the United Nations and the Bretton Woods IFIs, are necessary. Nobody's disputing that. Those who claim the other party is anti-global is engaging in shallow rhetoric. We're all recognising the need for sound and legitimate global institutions. Secondly, and we're all agreed on this, I think, that the IMF, along with those other institutions, have done good work in the past. Green Party agrees with that too. I think Russell Norman made that clear. So where do we diverge? We diverge on the third point. And what is that? And let me look at National and Labour and the Greens separately. National have the following idea: that the IMF still does totally good and sound work, that it is therefore still adequately legitimate, that the neoliberal agenda that was brought in the 1980s and since is sound, and that there is therefore nothing to dispute, and therefore National will continue to support any changes to it. Look at Labour. They go down the same critical path, it seems to me, pretty much. They say IMF still does good work. It is still legitimate. David Cunliffe denies that the Labour Party adopt a neoliberal agenda. But when in government, they effectively indicated to the IMF that they agreed with pretty much all its policies since through the 1980s and 2000. They oppose the IOC, and David Parker talked about a lack of transparency. But nonetheless, Labour will support. The Green Party takes a different turn. It believes that in the 1980s and since in the 1990s, IMF took a wrong turn with its neoliberal agenda. That while it still does good analytical work, it is losing its democratic legitimacy now in terms of 21st century global democratic expectations. And that the proposed changes are inadequate to the purpose of democratic reform, and therefore the Green Party will oppose. And if you go back to the 1940s, it depends on your frame of reference, Mr. Speaker. Mid-1940s, it was adequately democratic. early 21st century, it is not sufficiently democratic. The democratic reforms do not go far enough, ergo, Green Party will oppose. Thank you.
David Bennett.